Well, welcome to Dragonheart. It's nearly time. It's nearly time to start this season. Probably the most heavily anticipated Wrexham season for many, many of years. How are you doing, Mark?
Yeah, not too bad. I'm excited at the fact that you can say it is so heavily anticipated. I'm keen to see what happens. I'm keen to see him in proper action.
Yeah, and it was nice to see him with fans. My first game covering the men's team with fans the other day against Curzon Ashton, so we're going to break that down. We're going to talk about a few bits and bobs of the club news, and we're also going to talk about our big National League breakdown and our thoughts on who could be competitors, who could go down. So, yeah, welcome to Dragonheart.
This is Sean Brisley. This is Dragonheart.
Last Saturday, the men's team had their last pre-season friendly leading up to the season, Mark, and it was against a tricky side, wasn't it?
Yeah, they acquitted themselves well, I thought, Curzon Ashton. They moved the ball around really well. I think that the key thing to look at is that our squad's definitely not finished yet. I mean, Phil Parkinson said that straight away after the game.
Yeah.
Now, admittedly, as we're recording this, there's not been many additions to it, so we're still not ready for it, and the season's starting. But,
yeah,
still, considering that, I was quite happy. It was one of those games, I don't know, like I said, I don't think we look finished. We look like we need at least one midfielder more. We look like we need a couple of centre-backs, to me. Having said that, although we didn't control the game, which might be disappointing against a team a league below us, I never really felt the result was going to be anything other than a Wrexham win, because when we went forwards, that's the part of the team that is pretty much complete. Woof, we were tasty, weren't we?
Yeah, we looked really good going forward. You know, Mull and Hyde, you can tell they're very, very high quality, aren't they, for this level? And they look like they're striking a good partnership as well. And McAlinden,
yeah.
I thought he was probably man of the match, wasn't he? I thought he was excellent. I thought he played really, really well. But yeah, I think defensively we did look a bit shaky, and I think we gave Curzon Ashton, especially the first half, a bit too much of the ball. I think.
And I think that we probably need to be playing with the defensive line a little higher, for me.
Yeah.
Because there was just space between the lines, I thought, and they moved the ball around very well. You were saying just before we recorded this that I can't remember his name now. The number's Dunn, I think number 6, the centre mid. He was sitting deep, and he was really making play. He was passing the ball through us really easily.
He had too much room, though, didn't he?
Yeah.
No one chasing him down, was there?
But that's what I'm thinking.
Yeah.
If we are able to push our defensive line up a bit, it's too congested for him. He doesn't have that much space then.
Yeah.
And in other games we have pushed up more. So whether it was that, I can now say his name, maybe David Jones, they thought hasn't got pace.
Yeah.
Well, it doesn't look particularly slow. I don't know, but anyway, for whatever reason, I just thought our defensive line was a little deep, and that just allowed the game. There's been more space in the game when they had the ball. But then, like you say, going forward, you look very dangerous. I mean, look at that Renshaw, their keeper.
Yeah.
I mean, what the saves he made!
Yeah.
Wow.
He had an excellent game, didn't he? I think he was the key component. If he had an off day, and I think we probably could have won 5-1.
Yeah, if he'd had an average day, we'd have won 5-1, I think. Because, I mean, the save he made from Mullen in the second half was an absolute worldie.
Yeah.
The one he made from Mullen in the first half was a terrific reflex save. Those two, I would argue 9 out of 10, Mullen's got 2 goals for those.
Yeah.
And then there were other good saves as well. But those two in particular were just, he had no right to make those saves. Exactly. There was the chance Young had, although I've got to say I think Young should have buried that.
Yeah.
Still a very good save, but Renshaw shouldn't have seen that. That's what I mean. Although we didn't control the game, you just felt we had goals in us when we were going forwards. And that's what excites me now, that even though I think we're not the finished article yet, but we've still got the firepower to hurt any team in our division.
I think we're lacking like a destroyer in the middle, centre defence midfielder, someone who's, like a Kante, someone's just basically sitting in front of the centre halves, controlling what gets passed in. Basically, we're missing someone like that. I think we were playing with 2 makeshift centre halves as well, weren't we, in record? Yeah. And now we can say him, the green booted trialist himself, Dave Jones. I thought. And we were also there was a few misplaced passes, weren't there? When we started playing from the back. At the start of the game, and I think a lot of fans I've seen online complaining about that. But if you want us to play this glamorous playing from the back sort of football at this level, you've got to accept that there's going to be mistakes made.
Yeah, totally. I mean, yeah, Jones made a couple of mistakes with the ball, and that was quite surprising because I think that's his big strength as a centre-back, is his ability to start things out from the back. I mean, but let's be honest, he's a midfielder filling in at centre-back. He's not a centre-back, and I think I'm really glad we signed him. I think he's an excellent squad player. I think he's a player who will do a job in midfield because he's got authority, and he can also help out at the back if we have injuries or we've got an emergency situation like we have at the start of the season. But I don't see him as a centre-back in any lengthy stretch. And like I said, uncharacteristically, he did actually play a couple of sloppy passes out from the back. Yeah. Hayden, it's been fascinating to me to see the reaction to Hayden.
I think he looked classy.
I thought he looked excellent.
Yeah.
A couple of little moments where things didn't go as he intended, but nothing drastic. And I've been surprised because some people have been saying exactly the same as we're saying, and some people have been quite critical of him, and I don't see that at all. I don't think his passing is maybe as good as some other centre-backs from that showing, but then to be fair, I remember watching Fika Kelleher playing for Macclesfield, going through scouting videos of him, and his passing was terrible. Yeah. When he played for us, his passing was all right. So I wouldn't want to judge him on one game.
But he's only just signed as well. Yeah, he's getting used to the system. He's getting used to the lads he's playing with. I thought he looked quite classy on the ball. I hope for him this season. Cracking signing.
The way I look at him, to be honest with you, is I have extremely high expectations. I expect him to boss our division, and I didn't see anything on Saturday to make me think that he couldn't. Yeah. I'm a pessimist. If he wasn't showing what I hoped, I'd be really concerned. But I didn't see anything other than I thought he looked like a very, very good centre back. Yeah. But yeah, and then Record isn't a centre back. Although we've both argued last season he surely could do a job in that position, and that's what he did as well.
Yeah,
you quite liked him there, didn't you?
Yeah, I think he looked all right, and I think I think he would be good as a makeshift. If needs be, maybe last 20 minutes, one of our players get injured, you slot him back there. But yeah, I think he is at his best at left wing back though, isn't he? And I think you look at Cameron Green last season. I don't think he'll be able to play every single game because I think there's going to be a lot of adult right wingers who are going to try and bully him, which we did see a bit in parts last season. So I think using both Cameron Green and Record will be good for our squad.
Well, we got options there, and they're both good going forwards in different ways, and they both defend in different ways, and it's good to have those options. I'm very excited about Green. I can't wait to see him getting a proper run and seeing what he can actually do at the start of a season. I think he's got a great deal of quality, and I wouldn't say as time goes on that left back has to be his position. I think he's very, very good on the ball, and he could play higher at the pitch, but you can see how that develops, can't we?
Look at Jordan Davis.
But
started off left wing back last season. Now look at him. He played holding midfielder. He's played just behind the strikers, didn't he? Last season, he's looked excellent in every position. So I think the future is really bright for Cameron Green.
So and like I said at the time of recording, Jones has signed, but that's it. If we don't bring anyone else in, who's your back three at Solihull?
It's depending who's fit, isn't it? Okay,
let's say. Well, I'm going to make the assumption Lennon's not fit. And I'm also going to assume Brisley isn't fit, although that's much more of an assumption than Brisley when I don't know.
Our best three will be Hayden, Brisley and Lennon, won't it?
Yeah.
Surely the best back three.
Yeah.
So say Lennon and Brisley are out. I think we play Cleworth and I think we play Dave Jones.
French is the one I'm thinking of.
Of course, yeah. I completely forgot about Tyler French. Yeah, Tyler French, yeah. It's not Cleworth. Tyler French then. Tyler French, Dave Jones and Hayden, I think. As you said, I think Record's good, but I think, them three were probably the best combination.
Funnily enough, because beforehand we were talking about this and you were more of a fan of Record at centre-back than I was, I think I'd probably go French, Hayden, Record, I think.
Okay.
Simply because I think that Record also isn't a centre-back, but is maybe a bit more of a centre-back than Dave Jones is. Yeah. I suspect I'm not thinking of that the same way as Parkinson. I suspect Parkinson will go Jones in the middle. He's played him in the last 2 games there.
Yeah.
But, we could have an issue there as well. It'd be interesting, with Brisley coming back. With Brisley, if he's in the centre or Hayden's on the right, how are we going to fit everybody? Lennon's the left-sided one,
do we go to back four?
I think he'll stick with this. I think it looks quite well grooved.
Yeah.
But I'm thinking of Brisley playing on the right hand side as well when we played at Tamworth, I want to say, and knocking balls down the line and thinking he and Hayden probably if they dovetail them in, French going to find it hard to push himself in there. If Hayden and Brisley are fit and French wants to play, do we put French on the left, which is not natural for him? Do you have to shift one on the others? I don't know. I think that balance in the back three is not just about the best three. It's also about the comfort with those roles.
Yeah. It's going to be interesting to see. I'm really looking forward to seeing the starting lineup on Saturday. Really, it's quite exciting. But I think at the back we are a little bit shaky at the moment.
Yeah,
and I think we're going to have to try and get that sorted reasonably quick because we've got some really tough games. Like Notts County is going to be our first home game this season, isn't it? And Eastleigh away
is tough. Yeah.
That's going to be tough, isn't it? So, I trust the management. I trust the team. There's going to be a lot of teething issues, I think, in the first few games of the season, but I'm not worried.
No, I think I've said this before, I'd rather we use the full transfer window, and at the end of it, high quality players who've been sitting on our offer see that nothing better is coming in and we are the best offer they're going to get, and then sign for us, rather than bring bodies in order to be ready for the first game of the season. Because the whole idea of having this budget is supposed to be that we can spend good money bringing quality in. Now Hayden and Mullin, their pedigree, they're not the sort of signings we would have made if we hadn't had this money coming in. So I want to see 3 more like that. A Wrexham team with 5 players of that profile and quality, plus what we've already got, wins the league for me. The current team might contend for the league, but we're not finished yet. But let's not rush into it and buy some more players that we would have been able to get anyway without the money coming in, just to get the bodies in. Let's get 3 good players in, and if we have to play 3 games before the transfer window, so be it. Because with the goal power we've got, even though they're 3 tough games, I can still see us scoring goals.
Yeah, we can score goals. I think, as we said, we're so free-flowing going forward, and we look so good going forward. We've got some excellent attacking players. As you said, just the first few games, I think it's getting that defensive structure right. But I think, we've seen us in pre-season against Fleetwood, I think our defensive structure looked fantastic. That was with Lennon and Breesley playing, wasn't it? So once they're fit, I don't think the centre-back issue will be as panicky as it is now.
No, but I still think we need more.
Of course we need more, but I think once they're fit, I think I wouldn't panic.
Yeah, absolutely.
So after this, we're going to be talking about some of the club's news.
Hi guys, I'm Dominic Vose and this is Dragonheart.
Well, there's been a lot going on, a lot of new signings, all sorts going on. But first, I'd like to plug the new website. The new website looks great, doesn't it, Mark?
Yeah, it looks nice, doesn't it? I'm saying that because I helped them build it. But having said that, I had no influence on the appearance. I've been going in for about a week and a half, just helping to put content in and bring it across. And I think it'll look nicer and nicer when the season starts and it gets populated. But it looks nice. It's better organised in terms of the menus and things like that. And because we've deliberately started it quite simply, it hopefully will be able to build up and be an easy, intuitive thing to get your way around.
Yeah, looks nice and clean. Any new features?
Well, the obvious one, of course, is that we've gone with iFollow, so the Football League's platform, and that, of course, introduces a paywall, which I appreciate is a controversial subject. Totally appreciate that. The logic behind it, as far as I understand it, is that we need to make the club self-sufficient as far as possible. It's great that we've got external money coming in, but they've been clear from the start, the owners, that they're not going to be just sugar daddies who slap money in, artificially boost the club, and then when they leave we just collapse. They want to build something sustainable, and so by using the money to generate interest and build up that way, and still, we're not just saying, let's have another handout please. We are going to be looking at raising revenue, more revenue to pay for the extra things that we do, so it's sustainable. That's a healthy thing. So I think in that sense the paywall thing at some point was inevitable for some elements. The other part of it is that once you enter the Football League, you almost certainly are going to join that platform anyway. And I think it's a case of, well, let's get onto it now in anticipation of going up, so that we can be ready for it. My understanding of this is that if you are on that platform, you get a nice cut of digital revenue of the EFL. So being part of that setup financially is really beneficial.
Yeah.
So it's definitely the right choice to do that. Of course, things that were free being behind a paywall is problematic. It is to me. It's problematic to me. I'm not going to lie, but it's probably the right thing, I think, to do at this point to get people used to the fact that we are going to be going into an area where that is more common. So, I'm not going to say it's not with a certain reluctance that I see that happen, but I think it
is what it is.
It's that's how football is now.
Yeah, every Premier League club, it's like that. If you want premium content, I'm sure there's going to be premium content as well, isn't there? I believe. You want premium content at any club, you have to pay for it this day and age. So
I must say that although that's my instinctively I'm not a fan of paywalls, but I have to say that I have been having a bit of a think. Certain things I'd like to do, but you couldn't do really on YouTube. You probably could do behind a paywall. Now, not that sort of paywall. Please don't get me wrong, but I could do some sort of in-depthy stuff that maybe I wouldn't really be able to do on YouTube behind it. So I might be able to get away with some fiddling around with stuff. Everything I'm saying now sounds wrong. I feel bad. I would say... Oh, sorry, go on.
On that note, I was going to say, just check out the website, have a look, and you make your own mind up.
And if my name's on it, just close your eyes.
Plenty of other news as well. We've had the signing of the green-booted / orange-booted trialist himself, Dave Jones.
Yeah, thank God for that. Oh, man. How many times have I called him Jones when I'm not allowed to in the commentaries? Because I knew full well who he was. Jones, I'm going to try and cover up quickly. So talk very quickly and very loudly and hope nobody noticed I said it. People noticed. And then, of course, I started calling him the orange-booted trialist, and the moment I started calling him that, thinking that'll give more clarity.
He wore green.
He started wearing green boots instead. So, just I thought I'm trying to differentiate between him and the other midfield trialist. So I think again everyone knows who he is, but I haven't been given the go ahead, so I can't say who he is. And then he's gone and changed colour of boots, but he's had a good pre-season.
Yeah.
And what I was saying in commentary on Saturday when people were asking that. I wanted us to sign him as a squad player, not as a player that we'd revolve things around. But he's got pedigree, experience. He's a good footballer.
He's coming in as player coach, so I imagine that he's not going to be a stalwart player of first team on the name sheet. But he'd be great for FA Trophy games, Cup games. He's going to be great for if we are getting, say we're 1-0 up and the away team are pelting us. A bit of experience to come on is always perfect, isn't it?
Yeah.
And he's got real quality. So yeah, I'm really happy we signed him, and
he's got that authority about him, hasn't he?
Yeah.
I mean, and that's why centre mid is his position, and in some ways he goes somewhere towards the issue of the midfielder with presence that we're lacking. Yeah. Although I still would like to see us bringing in one of high quality. The worries for Jones, my understanding of him is that he's an excellent professional. And so again, it's going to be extremely beneficial to have around the club as well as what he can give on the pitch. Unfortunately, of course, he has had a lot of problems with injury. Now, last season, he didn't have a club at all. The last game he played was January 2020 for Oldham at Stevenage. So he hasn't played in a long time, apart from these pre-season games now. But looking at him, well, I'm told he is a real fitness enthusiast. Yeah. And looking at him, you wouldn't think he hadn't played in nearly 2 years, because he does look really fit and pretty much sharp, considering that, like I say, he hasn't played for so long. So my assumption is he really looks after himself, but is just a bit unlucky in terms of picking up injuries and breaking down, because just to drag that back further, I hate to do this, like I said, so last game, January 2020, he played 6 games in that season, in all competitions. And then the season before, he made 1 substitute appearance. Right. So that is 6 starts, beg your pardon, and he made 1 start in the League Cup. So 7 starts and 1 sub-appearance in the last 3 seasons. That's obviously worrying, and yet it looks like, well, the good side, it looks like, my understanding of what I see myself, he clearly looks after himself really well, so he's able to get up and running quickly. But then my worry in the back of my head is, if he is a naturally fit, healthy guy, but he gets injuries like that, it's just worrying that he could break down. Let's hope not, because I think I'm very pleased with him as an acquisition.
Yeah, I'm assuming he's going to be a rotation squad player, isn't he?
You'd think, wouldn't you?
You'd think so. So, yeah, I'm really pleased we signed him. I pretty much knew in the back of my head that we probably were going to sign him because he seems like a model professional. I think when you have plenty of young players in your squad, like, you know, your Cameron Green, Jordan Davis, Cleworth, Ryan Austin, you know, you've got a lot of these young players to look at him and to model themselves on the way he does things. He's obviously a fitness enthusiast, looks after himself. It's always good to have those real professionals in your squad, isn't it?
No question. Apologies for the audio interruption, for hearing a strange scratching noise. It's not a rat in our podcast bunker. I got really quite burnt at Fleetwood, and it's only 2 weeks later. It's really starting to get itchy, really itchy. So I'm sorry, I'm rubbing my arm up and down. Oh man, I'm flaking like crazy. Maybe we should change the subject.
We'll change the subject. I think. We've got one more signing. We've signed Sichapanyak on a short-term deal. No brainer. I think we need a third keeper.
That's exactly what I was going to say. It's a no brainer.
Yeah.
Laneton's a top keeper, but he does have injuries. Dibble has had injuries in the past as well since he's joined us. So yeah, as we can't buy players between the windows, yeah. I don't want to be who do you reckon will be the best person to put in goal from the outfield team? Oh, I don't know. I don't know.
We don't want to be worried about that.
It's always the shortest one anyway, isn't it? Everyone always thinks it's going to be some big lanky fella, but it's always a 5'6" midfield terrier who actually ends up being the one who wants to go in goal. So, nah, I can't.
Let's not worry about that.
Mullen will want to go in goal. Because Mullen strikes me, sort of bloke who just wants to do everything.
Yeah.
I can do that, I'll get in. So I reckon Mullen would be the one putting his hand up myself. I'm glad for Sichapanyak. Yeah. He's a big unit.
Yeah.
There's good raw materials with him.
Yeah.
And I'm really glad for him because he's gone to Kevin Druids on loan a couple of times. Hasn't maybe got quite the game time that he probably needed for his development. And fair enough, Kevin Druids have to make their own decisions. They've got an experienced keeper already. But I'm quite glad to see him getting this opportunity to, just to be there in case.
Yeah, and hopefully we don't have to rely on him, but it's nice to have that third keeper option. It's going to be good for his development, and it's going to be good for us as fans to reassured if the worst happens and our keeper gets injured, at least we have a number there to come in and fill in.
And he's a nice lad. He seems a very pleasant fella. Yeah. He loves his Instagram.
Yeah.
Got any pictures of him when he's playing? Get him to him. He's all for the Instagram. He is, bless him.
Typical young lad.
Yeah.
And another piece of news is Solihull, we've completely sold out.
Fantastic.
That's cracking, isn't it? It's such a shame that it's not at the racecourse first game of the season, but having a game's better than having no games.
Exactly. It's going to be a bit of an atmosphere there.
Yeah.
And like I said, I don't think we're quite ready, but we've got goals in us, and I like the idea of a big crowd seeing our strikers turn it on. That'd be something.
And for more on the Solihull game, me and Mark are going to be doing a preview podcast of that game. So, and hopefully we're going to be making that a more regular thing. I think a lot of people received it quite nicely last year when we did our preview podcast, but we couldn't do them regularly because the pandemic and what have you. But hopefully it's going to be a regular thing where we break down every game as they happen.
Absolutely, yeah, I really, really hope so, because it's quite fun doing that. I do love going to a game knowing what to expect from the other side as well. It does make me feel a bit more sort of, obviously informed, but I think having a bit more of a sort of, I don't know, a balanced view of things, if you like, what I expect out of a team or not. It
kind of makes me, when we lose to a team that I've researched, it makes me feel actually better because I've usually seen the problems and that they could cause, and it makes me feel a lot bit better that the teams we're playing are actually going to be really good. I think a lot of Wrexham fans look at these teams like, I don't know, Solihull or Kings Lynn and suddenly expect them to not be good teams, but these guys play football. These guys want to race up the league table themselves, so. Yeah, it's going to be really interesting to see.
Well, the classic example last year was Halifax at home, which was 0-0, and I accept was a pretty well. Actually, I sort of
enjoyed
quite
it.
enjoyed it, but I think we were the only two who did because we'd both seen Halifax and we saw that they were in really good form at the time, the best form, as it turns out, they were in all season. And they moved the ball around nicely. They played some good football, and we knew a lot of their players as a sort of a result of looking at it and the sort of way they played. And we both thought it was going to be tough, and it was. And we were quite happy at the way we were combating what Halifax were looking to do. We were lucky because in the last 5 minutes, and it happened a couple of times last week, we just completely caved in for no reason.
Yeah.
And we were very lucky. But until that point, we were quite happy that we would going toe-to-toe with the strong side, and everybody was furious. Oh, what a dreadful game that was. And we really enjoyed it because we'd had a good look at Halifax and had a bit of respect for them, to be honest.
Yeah, I thought we were going to lose that game. I remember walking home feeling quite chuffed, and I remember looking on certain Wrexham social media websites, and me and you got dogs abuse being positive towards that game. But yeah, it's nice to be looking at these opposition sides, so please do have a look if you want a bit of an idea. Well, we don't really have much on Solihull, really, because they could be playing completely different systems they were last season. But we're going to try our best to break down what we've seen.
Found something.
Okay.
I'll share it with you after.
Happy days. Well, talk about breaking things down. Me and Mark are now going to give a little bit of analysis on who we're playing against this season. So it's our big National League breakdown.
I'm Liam McClendon and this is Dragonheart.
Here's the big season preview. We've tried our best. I've spent last night and a bit this morning having a look at some of our contenders, who we think is going to go down, who we think is going to make the playoffs, and maybe who's the dark horses. Maybe me and Mark will pick a dark horse team. So how do you feel about this season?
Well, I mean, in terms of Wrexham first, what I said before the break, I think we will bring in 2 or 3 more high quality players, and that make me think we're favourites. At the moment, if we didn't bring any more players in, I'd have us as a playoff team. But we will bring more players in. So I'm confident Parkinson will move well. Bookies, I've got odds checkers, latest odds up here. Bookies have us 7-2 as favourites to win it, which I think is reasonable.
Take that with a pinch of salt, though, isn't it?
Oh, always take odds with a pinch of salt because they're only reflecting what people put money on, aren't they?
Yeah.
So, but having said that, bookies, don't tend to be poor either.
Exactly.
So, I look at, well, to be honest, if I look down these, talk about promotion contenders, the first 4 to me are the obvious 4. I think there's 4 really strong teams in this league. Wrexham, Stockport, Notts County, Chesterfield have all improved considerably, and we all finished in the top 8 last season.
Yeah.
So those are serious title contenders. The next 2, according to the odds, are Grimsby and Southend, both 10-1. I think that's because they're relegated, and you'd be stupid not to, as a bookie, you'd be stupid not to pay respect to the relegated teams, but often relegated teams come down in a bit of a poor shape and have to rebuild, and I think both Grimsby and Southend might fall more into that category.
Southend seems to strike me as what we were like when we went down.
Yeah.
A bit of a mess off the pitch.
That's what I was thinking.
It's a bit of a mess on the pitch, and once you get into a habit of losing for a whole season, I'd never favourite the relegated teams to bounce up straight away. It's only Bristol Rovers, from my memory, that have actually done that. So and they're a massive club. So I don't think they're going to do much. I think they'll probably be high, mid-table.
I'm inclined to agree with that. Grimsby, I wonder, because they have brought in Sean Pearson, but is not the only good player they brought in. But having said that, they've had, as you would, a lot of turmoil, and so I'm not sure about them. And then the next lot in the odds are you say what dark horses. Yeah. Well, it's interesting to see that Torquay are only 7th at 14-1, considering they nearly went up.
Lot of players lost, haven't they, from last season?
Yes, and I do understand. Yeah, because of that, I do get it. When you look at the players that they've lost, you start thinking, hang on a sec. Oops, Daisy. So they've lost players like Billy Waters has gone to Halifax and he was decent. Ben Whitfield, quality player, one of the better players in the division last season. Stockport have got him. Kyle Cameron, gone to Notts County. Right. So the teams that are pushing for the title have been cherry picking their players. And and Randall's gone to Plymouth as well. So they've lost some decent players there. And when you look at who they brought in, I don't know that it excites me that much, really. They've brought in a 30-year-old keeper from Morecambe, but the goalkeeper was never really an area they had an issue with in the first place.
Yeah, their keeper was quite decent from what I can remember
and
last
he was
season.
backup.
Yeah.
Yeah, the one who played in the playoffs. He
Yeah.
scored in the playoffs.
Yeah,
He's the backup keeper. They brought in a centre mid from Colchester. And Dan Holman's gone there, the ex-Wrexham striker.
Yeah.
But then, Dan is in his 30s now. So, a good player, and he's had a break from playing. So, I can see why they are a bit lower down. I think that does make absolute sense. Now, having said that, after them, they're still going to be dark horses, I suppose. But after them, and the odds are 3 teams, you think, Solihull.
Yes, I think Solihull are definitely going to be dark horses this year. Look who they've brought in. That Newton looks really good, doesn't he? They've brought in...
And Dallas, alongside it.
And that's one thing I was going to mention. Dallas, we were both quite high on him for Weymouth last year. He had some really good stats, wasn't it? Like 12 goals in 20-odd appearances. I can't remember off the top of my head.
Yeah.
I have made a note of it, so I should probably have a look. But they look like a decent side, and they've invested well. They've got that really tall 6'9" striker who everyone seems to be talking about at the moment. Yeah, they could really do stuff this season, I think.
They finished the season really well. I remember about 7-8 games before the end of the season, I got everyone's fixtures out and I was sort of trying to work out who'd do well. And Solihull were well off the playoff pace. Yeah. But when you looked at their running, they had the easiest running. All like teams down the bottom who weren't fighting relegation because there was no relegation. And I thought they're not quite going to make it, but they could get close. So they got a bit of momentum with a decent finish of the season. And then, like you say, they brought in 2 good strikers. Lewis Maynard from Stockport, that's a good, sort of commanding midfield to bring in. They brought in on loan Cameron Cox from Colchester, who's already shown he's a good fullback at this level. Colchester brought him as a prospect and loaned him out to get more first team sort of experience. These are decent signings. And then when you look down the players that they've lost, not much to be disappointed about. Jamie Ward's gone now, but he's 35 now.
I've been listening to a lot of their club media, and a lot of their interviews with players been saying push for League Two, push for League Two. So they are going for it this season. They're not just sat in for mediocrity, and I think they're going to be a dangerous team to play against, and they're going to be certainly a dangerous team for Wrexham to play against on Saturday.
Let me throw another dark horse at you then. Dagenham Redbridge.
Yeah, they were the other ones I was going to say. Yeah, and I think a lot of people have said, looking at how they turned their season around last year, because at the start, well, let's be fair, both the Dagenham Redbridge games cost Wrexham the playoffs last year.
Yeah, no question.
And especially the away tie, because we sort of crumbled, but they looked a good side, didn't they?
Yeah, they finished brilliantly because they had the opposite of Solihull. They had a nightmare running. All the big teams, all the teams pushing for promotion. But the good side of that, of course, is if you win those games, you've taken points off the teams above you. And they did, didn't they? They had a brilliant run in against the toughest opposition. And then the big thing is they haven't fallen apart. They've kept hold pretty much of that squad. The only couple of players for me that they'll miss, if they'll miss them, that Eleftheriou, the right back, has gone. He played quite a bit for them last season. But having said that, they released him. And likewise, and I'm slightly surprised that this player was released, but Mitch Brundle's gone to Barnet. And Brundle's good on set pieces, good centre mid. Solid centre mid, very good on set pieces, useful player to have at our level, I would say. So I'm a little surprised. Okay, they let him go, but that's only 2 players out of the 11. And then players they brought in Ling, the fullback who got promoted to Orient, who's a good defender. Yeah. So to me, that's an upgrade on Eleftheriou as a right back. And then they brought in Josh Walker, who's an interesting striker to bring in from Barnet. Of course, Barnet and Dover have had fire sales, and there's loads of clubs have picked up, particularly Barnet players. And I don't know what to make of that because Barnet was so dysfunctional last season.
Awful.
And considering the players they had, on paper they looked decent, but on the pitch they were shocking. Yeah. So there was something wrong there. So I guess there's got to be a slight doubt about Barnet players coming in. Were you part of the problem? But Walker looks to me a decent signing. So I think Dagenham are going to be dangerous simply because they look to pick up where they left off.
Exactly, and I think there's two more dark horses for me, and that's Bromley and Halifax. I think Halifax played some beautiful football last season. I've not seen their ins and outs.
I don't think you'll be happy. Well, unless you.
Well, Hyde,
I don't
obviously.
think you'll be impressed with their outs.
Right. Okay.
I'm not so sure about them personally.
What about Bromley?
Bromley
made the playoffs last year and expensive as.
Yeah.
Cheek's still playing for him, I assume. Not. Is he not? Is he gone?
Well, also yes. Sorry,
Cheek,
he is. But sorry, I got mixed up then. I'm a little confused by Bromley. They've made a couple of fantastic signings. So Corey Whiteley, who's still 30, one of those players who consistently does well in the National League going forwards, gets moves up to the Football League, then doesn't quite do it, and then comes back down again. So he's gone there from Newport County, cracking the signing. And one of the players that stood out against us last season, Joe Partington, the Eastleigh fullback, who scored against us home and away. Those are, I think, the sort of signings you bring in when you're serious about going up. But they've lost some decent players as well. Kitsey's gone to Sutton.
Yeah.
They've lost Wakefield, the right midfielder's gone to Yeovil. Williamson, the centre forward's gone to Dover. Frankie Raymond, the little playmaker's gone to Boreham Wood. There's quite a lot of players missing. Quite a lot of players have gone. Bridge, the centre mid's gone to Football League. They've lost a few decent players. They've brought in a lot of under-23 players who...
It's always a risk, isn't it?
It's always a risk. Sometimes it comes off, sometimes it doesn't. I don't know what to make of Bromley. I don't know.
So we'll have to see once the season kicks off, really.
Yeah,
It's
exactly.
going to be really interesting. So if you could pick your playoffs and your champion and your relegation, who would you pick?
Man. Well, to see Wrexham are the trickiest one to pick in a way, even though I know the most about them.
Yeah.
All right, then let's say we buy 3 good players, so we win it.
Right, okay.
God, I wish I hadn't said that. Stockport County, Notts County, Chesterfield, the rest of the top 4, I think. I don't fancy Grimsby and Southend. Grimsby, maybe.
Yeah, good fan base.
Yeah. And then I fancy Solihull. Quite fancy Dagenham.
Solihull for 5th place.
I was going to say about Eastleigh, I quite like the look of.
Yeah.
But Solihull 5th. Grimsby and Dagenham. No, Grimsby and Torquay. Let's be nice to Torquay.
Relegation?
Weymouth have basically got the same squad.
Yeah, without Dominic Revan, who saved them last year.
Right, yeah.
Without Andy Dallas, who was probably their shining light when they signed them.
Okay, they haven't got the same squad.
Yeah, so
fair point.
I
think I did double check my point, my notes here.
They're the 2 guys who really come in from January and really changed their fortunes, didn't they?
Yeah.
So I reckon Weymouth are going to be there or thereabouts. I think Dover's going to be there or thereabouts. I think Kings Lynn are going to be there or thereabouts. It
all makes sense, this.
Yeah. Would you
Weald,
disagree with them 3?
No, I think Dover will have real problems.
Yeah.
They seem to have lost hemorrhage players and not really brought in that much to replace them. Kings Lynn, I agree. Much as I'd like to see
but to be fair,
goals.
They played some really nice football when they come to our place last year, didn't they? But so lightweight, weren't they?
Yeah, they lost Carey. Remember, he was outstanding, wasn't he? And they knew they were going to lose him. They got Gold. I want Gold to do well.
Yeah, I'd love to see Gold Amateo do well. They
brought in a couple of players. A centre back, Bird from Eastleigh, I've seen play quite well, and Junior Morais from St Mirren. Rowley from Chesterfield, attacking midfielder.
Maybe they may surprise us,
but I don't think they will. The last I suspect we'll see of Michael Gash, who has constantly scored against us.
Yeah.
He's 34 now, and he's dropped down to Peterborough Sports, which I think tells us that we won't see him anymore. But even so, he did a job. He was an awkward customer. I think they may miss him. Yeah, okay, yeah, all right. You
Them
convinced
three,
me there.
Yeah.
But I tell you what, I find a bit. There's another one I want to throw into there. It's Wealdstone.
Yeah.
Now,
yeah.
I'm not sure what. They've lost Mondi for a start, which you really caught our eye because he scored that worldie against us, of course. But he looked like a good player. And he's gone. Effect, the centre-back's gone as well.
Yeah.
And he scored the other 2 goals against us. I'd be a little concerned about that. Moses Emmanuel has left. Admittedly, I don't think he was playing at the level he was before he left to go in the Football League. But still, he's experienced. I just wonder. And then Connor Smith's gone to Boreham Woods. He's a decent midfielder. You would feel a little concerned at losing those 4 because really they've only brought in 2 signings, or maybe 3. They brought in a winger from Sutton. I don't remember him that well. Okay, Jack Cook from Woking's a solid centre back, a little bit accident prone. Josh Amura from Torquay is their new striker, maybe, and that Eleftheriou we're talking about. They're all right, yeah, but not enough, I think. So I think maybe that bottom 4 might
It's gonna be a good scrap, isn't it?
Yeah, and also the bookies seem quite well. Okay, like you say, maybe it's because they're reflecting what people bet on. The bookies seem fairly positive about Barnet. They've got them above the likes of Woking, Maidenhead, United, all the shot.
Bigger club, though.
But they were a joke last year.
Yeah, they were.
They were an absolute joke.
Some of the defending on the away tie was actually laughable, wasn't it?
Oh god, yeah.
Yeah.
So I don't share that confidence that they'd be so wonderful. Personally, I mean, a big turnover, but lost quite a lot of experience. Lost quite a lot of decent players. They probably had to.
Yeah.
Brought in some interesting ones. Adam Marriott, Mitch Brundle, Josh Payne, Mason Bloomfield. That's good signing. But actually, I do like the look at what they brought in. I'm looking at it more and more. Jamie Turley, Joe Widdowson, both from Orient. All right, yeah, they're gonna win it.
They're gonna win the league.
Oh, they're gonna win it. No. Okay, fair point.
Right.
Your tips, come on. I've stuck my neck out.
I think Stockport are going to be champions. I think they've got an established side from last year, which was better than ours. We've had a big overhaul.
True.
And we're going to find it's going to be a while till we find our feet. Personally, that's what I personally think. And with Quigley up front,
Whitfield,
yeah. I have made some notes. They've got some absolutely fantastic signings. I think second. I think it'll be us. I think it will be us. I think top 3 for us this season is a must. Has to be a must. We have to be in the top 3 because if we don't win the league, we have to get that one game then final playoff situation. And I wouldn't fancy any of the teams that I think personally could be in the playoffs to beat us with a big home atmosphere. They're going to be used to that. It's going to be big attendances at the racecourse this year. So yeah, I fancy us at second. Third, I think Chesterfield.
Yeah, I had to look at the players they brought in.
I honestly thought they might have been a bit of a basket case team this season.
Yeah.
What's going on off the field. But Shamanga, what a signing that is.
Yeah.
So I'm really impressed with them. Then I think Notts County, they're always going to be there or thereabouts, aren't they, when it comes to the playoffs. Now it's the other ones I think is quite hard. I think Solihull, then Dagenham, Redbridge, then Eastleigh. I think that for the playoffs, and I think we have a great chance to go up via playoffs. But I think this year's conference has been the most competitive it's been in a long, long time.
Yeah, just look at the Eastleigh players they've brought in, and they're shopping in the Football League and the Premier League. That's quite interesting. The players they're bringing in. They've lost some decent players, as mentioned already, but. Yeah, but they brought in players from Bristol Rovers, Chesterfield, players of experience. Kilmarnock, Swindon, Bristol Rovers.
We may need to sign some MMA fighters to fight them as well, to play them next.
So yeah,
might need to sign some MMA or boxers.
Yeah,
to have on the bench just in case it kicks off again.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
So it always seems to be a bit of a feisty affair against Eastleigh, doesn't it?
They were really unpleasant last season. Both games they were horrible. They pressured a very weak referee into giving them a joke penalty and getting Tyler Friend sent off at their place.
And then Royal Rumble, wasn't it?
Yeah. That was something else, that.
So they're always going to be there or thereabouts. So it's And I think the relegation I've mentioned before, I think Weymouth don't really seem, I think that their key players who kept them, made them look good last season, saved them. They've gone, haven't they?
Yeah.
Kings Lynn. Now you've mentioned Kings Lynn, talk about Kings Lynn a bit more. Maybe Wealdstone instead of Kings Lynn. And I think Dover is just an absolute mess on and off the pitch, aren't they? So I would be very surprised if they're not bottom.
I mean, I suppose the good thing for them is that if you have a complete shake-up, it might work out well. But I wouldn't be optimistic personally. Been a bit of a mess there, I think.
But it's such an interesting league this year. It's so competitive, and the conference is now getting to that standard of league too, where I think a top level National League side is probably as good as most bottom half League Two sides, and them beating them in the FA Cup wouldn't be a massive shock.
Yeah.
So it's very, very competitive again. The standards are high, and let's just hope Wrexham can keep it together, because there's going to be a lot of eyes, a lot of pressure, a lot of fans in the stadium. It's going to be so unique to all these players we've got. Let's hope we rise to the occasion and really do reach the heights that we think we can reach.
Absolutely. Gosh, it'd be great to see us finally getting back. But I suppose now with the investment we got, we're seeing that now as a necessity. In the next couple of years, we've got to get up, haven't we?
Yeah.
I tell you what, you look at often at opening fixtures and where the teams get a bit of early momentum. I wonder if COVID could still have a part to play in that sense. Because, I mean, obviously we know, because we're one of those games, some games have been called off already.
Yeah.
At the end of last season, everything seemed to be plain sailing, didn't it? No games were getting called off. But now we've come back and, wow, games are getting called off. Now, I'm delighted we've been so quick to act and rearrange. I'd be a bit worried if I was one of the teams whose games have been called off, if then, say, next weekend also doesn't happen. Then they're finding themselves hitting a bank holiday weekend. So it might be that some teams have played 3 games and other teams have yet to start off.
Yeah.
I think that could have potentially really hit your momentum hard. If you were one of those teams near the bottom, I'd be really worried playing catch up like that.
Yeah.
Oh, just remember the other thing, Dover. We have forgotten, of course, they are on -12.
Of course,
just hit me there,
yeah,
so they're playing catch up.
They didn't play.
And then now I'm playing this weekend either.
Yeah. Yeah, so there you go. I think I'll eat my hat if Dover don't get relegated.
Do you own a hat?
Not at the moment as well. So
you have to buy a hat.
Yeah, I have to buy a hat and eat it.
That's putting his money where his hat is, eh?
I think maybe some sort of nacho hat or something.
Oh, no, that's not punishment, is it? You can't. No. It's got to be material, and we will bring it live here on Dragonheart.
The content every Wrexham fan wants to see: a man eating a hat.
Yes, exactly.
Maybe buy a Dover hat if they do stay up, and I will eat it. Anyway, yeah.
I reckon Dover have merchandise. What did I say? Shots fired.
We're getting a bit cocky now. They're probably going to beat us 2-0 at home.
Shut up.
Don't.
Don't.
So, yeah, it's going to be a lot of excitement. I'm absolutely buzzing for this season, Mark. Let's hope it goes the way we want it.
I'm Jake Hyde, and this is Dragonheart.
Well, that's the end of the show now. Fans back in the ground in a couple of weeks' time. We've got the away leg against Solihull, which will be really interesting. Please, if you want to know a bit more about Solihull, me and Mark will be doing a breakdown of that, and I'm sure that'll be posted on SoundCloud, Acast, Spotify, YouTube. So please, have a look. What else there to say, Mark?
Well, there was the first game week, of course, of the Dragonheart Fantasy League Super League, which you can still join. Obviously, it's only one game week. It's a long season. I'm not overly happy with my league position. I thought I'd done quite well till I realised what Bruno Fernandes had done. People who made him captain were chuckling, weren't they, Chay?
Yes, I was buzzing. We were actually watching in the media room. Someone had the Leeds and United game on. I have Ayling in my team, and I have Bruno Fernandes, and he scored. So I was celebrating when they both scored. So yeah, happy days. It's looking okay so far.
I thought I was doing pretty well, like I said, but turns out I wasn't. But no, it's a marathon, not a sprint.
Yeah.
And what worries me really is that the man I keep referring to, Tim Lewis, the brains behind having fantasy leagues, he's top. With a team whose name is directed at me. What's it called? Operation Stop MG or something like that, isn't it? So, I'm quite concerned by this. So, but anyway, he's only got about 100 points on me or something, 60 points on me. I'll claw them back. Don't you worry. Dan Jarvis did well in it as well. What a legend he is.
Yes.
Fair dues.
We may call it the Dan Jarvis.
Yeah, negotiations are ongoing.
Yes.
Over trophies.
So, if you do want to win the maybe Dan Jarvis Championship, then
the Golf Umbrella Cup, I want to call it.
Yeah, exactly. Just come join in.
Yeah.
It's only been 1 week, so
yeah, you can catch up. I'm hardly anywhere ahead of you.
Yeah.
See yourselves like Dover. You're on -12 and you missed the first game, but don't worry, there's still hope. Got to make Chay eat a hat.
No more hat eating for myself. But yeah. Pretty much that's all for this week at Dragonheart. Anything else you want to plug, Mark?
Plug? You make me sound like I'm some sort of heartless capitalist. Yes, I will. We'll be back to full sort of normal operation, of course, at the weekend. So there'll be a Final Whistle podcast as well coming through, and all the usual match day stuff. So good stuff.
Yeah. Follow us on all social media platforms. Yeah, that's all I have to say.
If you know what's good for you.
Come on, Wrexham against Solihull.
Thanks very much for watching. Please subscribe as well so you don't miss out on any of our content, and click the bell to get notifications.